apparently she really was very special. You know, you think of this state house as being, you know, a fairly pedestrian job, but apparently she was really a star there, and she was actually very close to Amy Klobuchar, and they had even talked to each other 2 days before.
Yeah, and Tim Walz, but also I think the fact that the guy, I can't remember his name, Bull, the one who was arrested.
Yeah, that guy.
He had a hit list, you know, and it was grounded in what the anti-abortion movement, but it was all Democrats on the list.
Oh yeah, no, he had a whole background of being a total. He was sort of like an abortion clinic bomber. He was very anti-abortion, but he was also, you know, he was like a Christian nationalist kind of thing. Although he did a lot of evangelizing in Africa, so I don't know.
And wasn't he also? I thought I heard that. I have not followed his biography closely, but I think I heard on the radio that he was. I don't know if he was a pastor or just an elder in his church, but I mean he was a shaker and mover in his church, I believe.
Yeah, you know, he was a preacher. He was a get out on the street preacher. I don't know. He has a really strange background if you read about it. It's almost like he had three concurrent lives. It's sort of like he had he has a wife and kids, and he had his own business, but then he lived in somebody's house where he rented a room. It's like, how can you do both? And he had and it made it seem like he didn't have very much money, but then he had like two pretty relatively expensive cars. So whatever it is, it's like really strange. It comes from really strange background.
And just for the 5 men, we have the 2 anons in the room, and I don't know where to check if we're streaming on YouTube.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Because that character is a total faggot asshole bullshit. I mean, he is the worst person in the world.
Wait a minute. Who?
Well, all right, I shouldn't use the F word, but no, I mean, he's an evil, horrible, awful scumbag. But
Well,
the fact of the matter is,
just for the record, Ben's expressing his own opinion. I don't do name calling.
You can look him up. He's a scumbag. He can go to hell. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, maybe you can tell me. I don't even know how to make this room private. Because I'll make it private if I can do it. I don't want that. That's fucking...
I mean, I didn't speak up on this yesterday, but honestly, I agree with the people who said it's not worth wasting any oxygen on this person. Yeah. Nobody listens to wherever he's screaming this. He's just getting his jollies. I would completely ignore it.
Yeah. I know. All right, so let's ignore it, I guess. Unless somebody can tell me how to do it, I really don't know how to do it.
Did you complain? Well.
Yeah, I sent a complaint out, but I didn't expect anything. Now, maybe something will happen. I mean, what they need to do is just make it so that the head moderator can block an honest people. You know what? I would be totally okay if they said you got to buy a premium service so that you have the ability to block out people. I'd pay it. That would be worth it to me. But it's absurd.
Don't worry about it. In short order, they're going to get rid of this function, I would expect, because it's so stupid. But really, I don't think it's worth worrying about. It really isn't.
So can you remove a named person in this case?
Yeah, you can remove a named person. You just can't remove the anonymous ones.
That is bizarre. That's bizarre. That's exactly opposite. I thought that you cannot remove the named person, but that should be the opposite. I think the rule.
Yeah. Anyway, it's like I said, he's such a low life. Well, you know what we ought to do? I mean, somebody sent me, he theoretically is a congressman from Illinois. I don't even believe that. If he is, I think we all got to get on the phone.
Because he's not doing.
Yeah. Well, exactly, and the complaints, and well, we need to we can dox him, and then we can take him down, and I think that would be a useful thing. God, it's amazing.
Ben, for what?
Yeah.
Coming in this room and streaming it on YouTube, who cares?
I know. I guess I just wanted to get it
Yeah,
out.
he's not a congressman. He's run unsuccessfully once. He lost by like over 15 percentage points. Like I don't. The guy's
Okay, so he never actually became a car. So he's a total loser.
If it's Edmund, then yes, which is the only person I know that's straight rooms.
Well, his
Edmund's
name
not a
was
congressman.
something. Adam Dittman. What's his first
Yeah.
name?
He's not a congressman. He ran once, utterly failed, had no help from his local party. He was just somebody who got wild hair up there behind Ben and decided they wanted to run.
All right. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get. They already sent me some stuff. How to get a hold of his Facebook account and Instagram account and LinkedIn, and then I'll send it out and broadcast it, so we know who he is.
So I remember the initial Clubhouse model was supposed to be imitating a living room or coffee house. You know, you're able to go to somebody's house and then have a listen to the chat and then decided to join the conversation. So this is almost like someone. The new rule is almost like someone barged into your house. You cannot get rid of them. You have to.
Right. It's like those squatter movies.
But especially the rule is like if the person is known, then you can ask them to leave. But if the person is unknown, you have to allow them to stay. What logic was that? What kind of a living room that you want to imitate with the it's like the completely opposite rationale compared to the old rationale.
I agree with you. And by the way, it's Adrian Dittman. It's not Adam Dittman. It's Adrian Dittman is the guy's name. Look him up. Dox him. Tell your friends. Anyway, all right. Let's try to ignore him. Look, to me, there's nothing that we say in here that would be either embarrassing or useful to anybody else. So, it's just the idea of it that bothers me more than anything. So, all right, so it's today. Why don't we get the New York stuff out of the way first? Oh, is Scotty here? Good, Scotty's here. All right, today is, I guess this is it for the primaries. I'm still confused as to, how the ranked choice voting, because, is this a day of voting, and then when you say it's going to go into different levels, it's just whoever I don't understand. Is there like a second or third vote before the general election, or is this it for the primary?
This is it.
This is it. So, except that it takes a week potentially for them to roll it all out to figure out if nobody gets 51%, they have to figure out who in an aggregate comes out. Is that basically it?
Yeah, Scotty might be voting now because he was on his way to the polls, so he just dropped off. But yes, if someone doesn't get 50% in the first round, it runs through various tabulations with the votes. They all get recounted.
My prediction is that in the general election, you will have Curtis Sliwa, who's this bizarro
Guardian angel Republican.
Very right-wing Republican, and under any circumstances, he's going to lose. And he's run like 4 or 5 times, and he always loses. And look, New York is very much overly a Democratic city. And if you win the Democratic primary, with rare exception. Now, with that said, Bloomberg did, who was a Democrat and independent and a Republican, ran in all 3 capacities in one.
Yep.
So did Giuliani, by the way. And so did Giuliani, was a Democrat turned Republican. And Lindsey won, and he was a Republican. So it's not like there weren't Republicans that lost. But even the Republicans, at the time they were Republicans, they were really sort of moderate Republicans. They actually, in respect, in the comparison to the rest of the country, the moderate New York Republican was really a moderate Democrat.
But then the election that you're forgetting about in the history of New York, okay, before you think Sleeper can't win,
Yeah.
okay, is 1970 U.S. Senate election that elected Buckley, 1970. Buckley's
Right.
brother, William F. Buckley, James Buckley's brother. That was because
That's the thing, is that this idea of splitting your party can...
exactly because that was a situation. If you get enough Democrats or near Democrats running on whatever line they're running on, you can elect like a kind of more conservative Republican. So Cuomo's has a line he can run on in November, even if he loses the Democrat primary. So does this other guy who's his near contender.
Yeah, they both.
And then Eric Adams is going to be running as an independent. So you
That's
could
why
have
I
a
think-
split vote.
I think no matter what happens in the primary, I think it's going to be a four-way race in the general. It's going to be the Republican, it's going to be Eric Adams, and then it'll be either Cuomo or Mondami will win the primary, but the one that loses will continue to run in a minor party. So you're going to have four candidates no matter what at the end of the day.
And Cuomo will
It's
be the
say, what's
independent, and Mondani the working
Is it
family
ranked
side.
choice
Yeah.
voting in the general?
No,
Oh, so
Yeah,
there's
that's-
only ranked choice voting in the
I'm
primary.
gonna verify. I think, oh, yes, you're
There's
correct.
only
Yeah.
one choice in the primary, Steve.
And if no candidate gets 50% in the general, they're still the winner? There's not
Yes.
a cutoff?
Yeah.
Like in most elections in most places, if you get the most votes and you've got 32%, you win.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You would think that it's the general that needs to be ranked choice voting.
That's really strange system.
I know. And there's no reason why it can't
What do
be.
they do in Maine?
Alaska, the reason why Mikulski, is that her name? Mikulski won in Alaska was because they had Mikulski. Yeah, because she ran choice voting. She ran even as a write-in and ran choice voting and won. So it's possible.
Her dad, wasn't
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but Andrea, that was after she was already in office. She did replace her dad.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, she lost her own primary. Then she lost a primary as an incumbent, and then she came back as a write-in. Yeah.
Yeah. But look, it's going to be a really, I mean, I think, at the end of the day, not like the guy, but I think that Cuomo probably is going to win. But
And thanks to you, I'm writing in Adrian Dittman for New York Mayor.
I wanted to write in Wes Moore, who moved to Maryland as governor there.
I didn't know where did Wes Moore grow up?
No,
I thought it was from-
no, it's just that he was up in New York for a long time because he was on Wall Street and then he ran very successfully the Robin Hood Foundation. So he has all this incredibly great military he's an incredibly interesting personal background, overcome a lot, raised by a single mom. His father was killed early. He even did a brief stint in prison. He served in the armed forces, and then he came out. He did very well on Wall Street, and he was in. Then he ran Robin Hood Foundation, which is one of the biggest charities in the nation, maybe the world, donating to anti-poverty programs in New York, and did very well there. And then ran to become governor of Maryland. He dealt with that, collapsed bridge really quickly and effectively, as many other things. Anyway, he's in the list of names for 2028 presidential. I wanted to write him in. Wanted him to come back.
Look, everybody keeps talking about him as being a real potential, star in the Democratic Party.
A lot of diverse groups, and he's young, and he's incredibly charismatic and appeals to a lot of young men.
Yes, but he's a Jew.
he's,
Not
No.
only is he, Josh Shapiro.
I'm not talking about him.
Oh,
We're talking about Wes Moore.
Wes Moore,
Wow,
he's black.
Wes Moore is a GOP candidate.
I'm gonna post my photo with him. That was the
I
best.
thought you were talking about Pennsylvania, where the governor got everything done so quickly. You don't remember that?
Yeah, no, sure we do. We love Josh Shapiro. He's a good guy, but
Sorry,
I don't know.
this is Wes Moore, yes. Okay, well, then I have my other objection. He's black.
there you go.
I mean,
Anyway,
the party has not been very open-minded.
Well, we need to get some energy, and we got to get a star or two, and I don't know. We just have to just keep moving forward. I don't know who's gonna like come out ahead of the pack, but all the shit that's going on is just fucking crazy. So did we finish up in New York? Moose, did you have any comments about the election in New York? Moose, anybody home? You know,
I don't think we, I mean, I interested, I mean, for folks who don't know, they're, Scotty and I did a room earlier today, we were talking about the incredible campaign that Zoran's team has run. There's a huge appeal to young voters. Much of the early vote was estimated to be organized young voters that were getting out there. The vote is meant to split.
well, you know, truthfully, I think that the New York mayoral election, I mean, it really, look, I'm moving to New York, so it's important to me. But to people who don't live in New York, I don't know how much interest it is to them, other than if Zoran wins. If Mondani, if he wins, that will be a pretty interesting example of how a young person of his generation can use all the tools available, including TikTok and his sort of viral media, how he can use it to win a general election. Because at the end of the day, somebody who's, look, he's 32 years old, and the biggest rub with him is that he's inexperienced, and everybody is looking for somebody who can get stuff done, who has some experience and some wins under his belt. But if he can come in and, believe me, New York, mayor of New York is a huge thing. Mayors, I remember somebody telling me that if you want the two most powerful positions in the United States are either president of the United States or a mayor of a big city. Because you have just so much control that, much more control than a governor would, in terms of actually being able to do stuff directly.
Actually, the actual expression is that it's the second most difficult job in the country. But I'm going to correct you on something.
Okay. And you know that, like Los Angeles, the mayor is actually not that.
Exactly. That was my point. The
Yeah.
mayor, a lot of cities don't have the power. The mayor of New York has a lot of power relative
So does Chicago.
than say the mayor of the LA or mayor of Chicago, right? Exactly. But here's the thing. Within New York, though, this is why I'm surprised Cuomo's even running. The mayor of New York City is nowhere near as powerful as the governor, okay? Okay, because a lot of things that you want to do, you need to get what's called a home rule message from Albany. Okay, so don't let that deceive you. The governor of New York is a much more powerful position than the mayor of New York City by far.
Ken, as he liked to demonstrate every time he played like daddy to Bill de Blasio. Do you remember? During COVID, the back and forth was, I mean, that was like a soap opera to watch. It was incredible.
Well, you know what?
So I wonder how he's going to feel working for Kathy.
Right, who he picked as his number two. I mean, that actually that's going to be a TV series, a Netflix series.
Yeah, but I think you missed something. I think you're discounting something, Ben, about the Zoran effect, which is, I don't think it's just the TikTok. I mean, that is an incredible way that young people, where they find each other, meet each other, and get influence. But I think it's more that they see somebody representing a little bit more of some of their values. He's talking about the affordability crisis, and he's talking about an issue that I can't remember what the breakdown on it.
I bet he beats Cuomo.
It very well could be an upset. Everyone thinks and says that he has it in the bag, but maybe it'll be a turnout game. Actually, we should look at the numbers of voters, how they break down.
I think he could win the primary, but I think he'll lose the general. But I think he could win the primary.
To Curtis Sliwa?
No, because Cuomo's going to run no matter what.
To either Cuomo or
Eric, or Cuomo and Zoran will split the traditional vote, and Eric Adams would win. That's that.
Or Adams and Cuomo split votes because they're seen as more alike because of who their donors are.
It could be.
If Zoran wins the primary, he's going to probably win the general. He's going to probably win the general if he wins the primary.
Yeah, you know what? You may be right that the person who would vote for Adams and Cuomo are probably closer.
I may be right because I'm Karen, you're not. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, Ken.
That's true.
No, I think in the general, if there's a surprise in the general, if let's say, whoever the Democratic nominee is, if Zoran is the Democratic nominee, I would think that, quite frankly, then you need to worry about Zoran split, Cuomo split, Adams split. Sliwa might have more of a chance than you think in this election.
Oh my
That's stereo.
Ken, have you ever met him? I've ridden the subway with him a ton.
I never met him, actually. Even when I lived there, I never met
He's
him.
still wearing the uniform. Guardian angel uniform, that is.
That's probably a mistake politically, but yeah.
Good. All right. I think we've done it with the. We'll have to deal with the aftermath because this actually probably is going to take a few days before we figure it out because I think it will be
A
pretty.
couple of days. I think it went 7 or 8 rounds the last time, but I do think that it's it's interesting to watch. I think it's indicative of the split between on the left between the moderates and the more progressive arm of the party. So let's see, between young and old, and it's New York. It's only New York, Francine.
If Zoran wins, what do we get for free? We get free buses.
Hey, you might not be able to get that through.
Do we get free groceries or something like that?
And we don't get free housing. Only some people. But no, he does want to work on housing. So free buses is the main thing.
Okay.
By the way, most of the things he's promising he can't deliver as mayor, even if he wanted to. Again, because
That seems
the
to be
mayor
the
doesn't have the
consensus.
power. The mayor
Well,
doesn't
that's
have
what I
the
say about him is he is very progressive. He's got some crazy ideas, but the truth is that the most radical things that he wants to do, it won't happen. It doesn't work that way. So it's sort of like, would that be okay?
There's nobody running for office either locally or nationally who can even add and subtract. If they could, they would know what they could and couldn't do.
No,
But they
okay, so
don't.
that's not true. We've done the mistake of the traditional lamestream media in here right now, which is that we've focused on the top 2. There are a slate of really excellent candidates, one in particular that might get ranked second, and that are, really. Brad Lander is the city comptroller right now, so hopefully he freaking is doing the math. And so there's that, and he has a track record on housing, and he seems to be kind of a moderate in between Cuomo and or a pragmatic progressive in between the two, Cuomo and who's not progressive, and Mandani. Although they are kind of getting together, they cross-endorse each other, Lander and Mamdani, and they were just on Stephen Colbert, if that means anything. I wonder if one of them, if whoever wins, I wonder if they'll pick the other to be like deputy mayor. That seems like a...
Well, like you said, weren't they? They're like sort of cooperating together, Mandami and the control.
Yes, but largely I think to beat them all. But who knows what else it might.
That makes sense because Mandami has all the crazy ass ideas, and Lander can add and subtract. So together,
Well, you know what? I think all candidates for any public office should be required to take the SAT, just the standard SAT, and then that would like shake it up.
Well, and yeah, I think they said we're veering into Solutions Friday.
No, I don't see Trump getting more than a combined 800 score on the SAT.
But also,
it's the obvious joke, Ben. What Trump has proven, you don't need to know how to add or subtract to get elected president. You just have to know how to divide.
oh,
I like it. Whoa! Bumper sticker. I like it. All right. Let's
don't forget Adrienne Adams, a strong black woman who has experience on the council, who's a speaker there and has corporate experience, who came across as the...
I think first of all, they should just get rid of all the other candidates and only women should be running for this office. I'm tired of the fucking men. The women are much better at this.
Well, the men are going around almost blowing up the world. I'm sorry to say to my male friends up here. But then Zelnor Miri, who is not that high up in the percentage in the polls, but he's a young black leader in the state legislature, and running on the progressive slate, and I don't think he's going to pull it off this time, but I think he's someone to watch in the future. But Scotty and I also voted that if Mandani doesn't win, if he doesn't do deputy mayor or whatever, they should either go back for city council or run in one of the well, we're not sure. It depends on what AOC does, because we think he's from her district, and we thought he should run for Congress.
No, he's from Astoria. He represents Astoria in the state assembly.
So, no, sorry, I switched back to Mamdani.
Oh, yeah.
Mandani represents Astoria.
Yeah, I think that's Dan Goldman's district.
No, Dan Goldman is my district. AOC is up. We should check. She's Jackson. What is she? Jackson Heights, and I thought she was Astoria as well.
Well, maybe
She's Bronx.
She is Astoria as well.
Do my homework.
Oh, Scotty's back. Scotty, did you vote?
Yeah, I just came from.
How do you feel? Do you feel relieved?
I feel pretty good. I forgot there's other things to vote for too. So I did write my name, since it's ranked choice, I wrote my name in for Manhattan Borough President, because why not? I'm not going to win, but I ranked myself, I think.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it went well. I did talk to the poll workers. They said it was definitely really busy in the morning, like manageable, wasn't like crazy, but they said it was definitely much higher turnout than past primary.
In a school? Where were you voting? What was the building?
Yeah, the school.
It was a school, okay.
Yep, it was nice and air conditioned. But yeah, it went well. One of the poll workers said it was busier than the presidential election, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if, that's just one opinion. But they said it was quite busy.
Primaries or the...
Did she
get
no. The general. Mm-hmm.
So, Scotty, do they serve beverages at your polling place?
No, but usually what happens is that the school will run like a bake sale or something, and they'll capitalize off of that. And I was surprised they didn't do that today. I think it's too hot or whatever.
It's a good marketing opportunity, I would think.
Oh, it's very smart. Yeah, but it went well. I'm happy with my choices, and I don't know. Did you see the interview with Stephen Colbert during the run?
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah. Just talked about it before you popped in.
But yeah,
Were you impressed?
Yeah, I was actually pretty impressed. But regardless, I voted Adrian Adams, my one, Landers, my two, and someday I'll disclose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
We're being cagey. We're being private about our votes here.
Well, I mean, I'm more annoyed than anything that we have, people on the left who are like, there's nobody good, it's, Mamdani or nobody else, or the city is ruined and the Democratic Party is ruined. Mind you, there are good people running. In people who can do the job, whether you like them because they don't have the moxie or they don't, they look schlubby or whatever. Scott Stringer, Brad Landers, city comptrollers, they know how the levers of the city. Adrian Adams being Speaker of the City Council.
Springer was the borough president.
And he was a borough president. I'm just saying there are people out there who are good, and the way they get overshadowed in our new political culture with the TikTok candidates and all that, it makes me really upset. And that would be fine if it wasn't for so many people on the left who are like, how dare you not vote for him or not rank him? And I understand the contempt for Cuomo. That's a given. But the fact that it's the Bernie or bust crowd is annoying the fuck out of me with Mamdani, because it's like if they literally have said, New York is done if they don't elect him, and the party's done. And people outside of the city have so many opinions about this guy, but we never can talk about, experience as a thing that matters in running New York City, like knowing he's not even in the city government, he's in the state government. It's very different. And the plans that he's putting up require state government approval. It has to pass Albany. And there's a lot of shit that is just, free giveaways and sound nice, and in spirit, I like it. But to get it done, I think, selling this to the voters, it's a little dishonest. That said, he has mobilized so many people. People are excited about him. He should be studied, his candidacy, for how effective young leaders can be for the Democratic Party, and how they can hit a message that resonates with young people and get them excited again. So there's a lot of things going on.
There you go. Thanks for the report from the ground, Scotty. All right, are we ready to talk about Iran, as they say? I haven't even looked at the paper this morning. Is there anything new
There's some
going on?
speculation that maybe they've each taken their strikes. Hopefully it's over.
Yeah.
And President Trump said fuck. And it's on the front page of the New York Times.
And that he's not taking his meds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really amazing.
Dumb fucks.
Yes, exactly. It's like, it's totally out of control. Basically, he thought they violated the ceasefire, but what they did was they all took their shots right before it began.
Yeah.
And he was disappointed in them.
Well, he's the king of the world, and whatever he says, they have to follow, and he's amazed when they don't. It's it is so entertaining to have an 8-year-old as your dear leader. It's astounding how much. I don't know where you can create something like this that is so stupid, so mean, so stupid, so uninformed, so uninteresting, so uninterested. He is the worst person in the world. He is. I'll tell you, sitting out here outside of the United States, I will tell you, at least in Europe, he is the single most hated man in the world, and he is the single most hated man in America. I mean, 51% of the people voted for somebody else other than him, so that tells you something. I don't know. I don't know how you can hate him even more. He's really testing our capabilities.
And you realize it's mathematically impossible, even with not getting a polarity vote, to get elected president when you're the most hated man in the world. Obviously, he's got fans somewhere.
Well, no, he does. He has potentially the 49% of the voting population, but I don't think so. I don't. I just think that, and you know, this is all based on opinion, not about specific data. But I would say that the vast majority of Democrats do hate him, and I don't know other politicians like that. I don't think Biden. I don't think the vast majority of the Republicans hate Biden. They don't want to vote for him. They don't agree with his politics, but they don't hate him. I don't think anybody. There's not one person in the United States where more people hate than Donald Trump. I would say that that's accurate. Everybody I know hates him. There's no in between. There's no I don't like what he does, but he's an okay guy. That's not him. That's not him. His followers, many of them are, well, you know, I think he's better for the economy. I don't like the guy. I don't agree with the way he is. I don't like his personality, but it's better for me. There are a lot of those. And they don't hate him. I mean, there are some people who are, I hate him, but he's going to make me rich. There are some of those. But the vast majority of Democrats that I know and independents that I know that I hang out with hate him. There's no question.
It sounds like Cuomo. I mean, it sounds like the New York Cuomo thing. They don't want, like, they don't like him, but, and then there's a thing. Yeah. And in this case, it's like, I don't know, city managerial capacity.
Yeah, but even Cuomo, many people, I don't necessarily like Cuomo, but I don't hate him. It's like nobody hates him. I mean,
no, there are a lot of women that are not happy.
Yeah, there are at least 13 women who hate him.
But I just want to ask you and Ken, or anyone else, very quickly, which is that I think that Trump, since the numbers matter so much, why don't we ever call out the fact that his victory really came down to, I think it's like 537,000 votes, which is a lot smaller number than the 2 million or whatever they're saying more in the popular vote. Because that's the number, I think, in the swing states, according to some reporting from BBC and others, that the actual, the numbers by which he won are even smaller. So I'd like to take heart in that. And again, it comes all down to the swing states. Did anyone see that reporting? That it's really only 537,000. I feel like Eric Foster. 537,000 votes in the swing state.
It was less than that.
Yeah, I see that reporting, and I've also heard his response to that reporting, and I've heard a lot of Republicans respond to it as that's bullshit.
Oh, of course they do.
So,
Of course,
you know, I don't hate Trump.
I don't hate him
I think he's really a problem as a person. I really do think he has a mental defect. I've never analyzed him. I don't know anybody who has.
He's Rick. Is there anybody that in public life that you hate more than Donald Trump?
I don't hate him.
Right? No. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking in comparison. Is there any? The fact that look, I've known you for a number of years. I don't think you hate anybody. But I'm just saying that, do you hate any other public figure more than Donald Trump?
No, but I would say I find the Congress that is currently in office as despicable.
Okay.
As Donald Trump.
All right, be real, Rick. Where do you get your trigger?
Because they're not doing anything to stop it. Those are the Republicans in Congress.
All right.
There's a couple that talk about it, but without them, he has not the power to do what he does. And so I
I don't ever look to anybody as going to save us. Any one person is going to save us, or that any one person can destroy us. It takes a big team. And that's why, I think Trump is really a bad president. Probably the worst in my lifetime. But we've had really, really horrible presidents before him.
James Buchanan comes to mind for me.
Well, they have this. They have this organization of leading historians, academic historians, and from think tanks, and it's a very well established and it's a credentialed organization. It is the credentialed organization for historians, and they do a poll of presidents every year. And Trump has always been either the worst or the second worst, always. But at the same time, I think Obama was either somewhere between 14 and 8. He's above 20. Clinton was above 20. I think even Bush the first was, I think he was down in the 30s. But Obama looked good, and so did Clinton. And Biden didn't look bad. I think Biden was in the top 20. So if you look from the historian's viewpoint over the years, and I think they've been doing this since the early 80s, it's very consistent. And they also grade them according to specific things. And Trump's always the bottom, which, that tells you a lot.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you're talking about historians here. Now, historians are looking back on things, and there's a lot of stuff we don't know what's going to happen in this second term. Now,
oh yeah, and I don't think we actually.
Project 2025.
It's hard to do a historical perspective on that. We can do speculation, and we can do, well, I think this is going to happen.
Well, yeah, and just so you know, they do regroup them every year. So as history changes and new facts come out, they do go up and down the scale.
Yeah, but somebody who loves history, the question I have is, what percentage of the American historical community dealing with presidents do they make up? Because I'm asking, because I've always been under the impression that the vast majority of historians in the United States who got doctorates in U.S. history rank Buchanan continuously near the worst president.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
And Buchanan's because
Buchanan and Polk.
Polk because of the war, Buchanan because he ushered in the Civil War probably 10 years ahead of schedule, is what I have read. But that would be my question. Like, what percentage of these historians do they make up in the overall presidential historian community? That's probably a good way to see where some of the consensus in the community falls. Because as I'm sure most people are aware, history does operate off consensus in that fashion. If most historians agree, that tends to be final is not the right word, but it tends to be what most people go with.
Yeah, well, look, I know that you have very credible background in history, and I always take your historical opinions very seriously because you know more than me. And I'm sure you've seen these lists, right? Have you seen the list of presidents that they publish every year?
Definitely. When I was at A&M, the Bush School used to publish a list every year. Center for Presidential History at the Bush School.
Yeah. And so coming from your background, would you say that that's they have credible credentials in order to put out a list like that?
Oh yeah. No. Don't. I guess my question is more about historiography than anything else of how we tell the story.
Yeah.
But no, you go get your doctorate and you're fairly in the main line, right? Like, simply because historians would disagree that Buchanan would, quote, be the worst president of American history, doesn't mean the history community,
And they don't all have the
we don't excommunicate the people who have differing views. Now, I will give you one place they do excommunicate you. You start falling down the Knights Templar rabbit hole, no one in the historical field takes you seriously.
All right, I want to get to Mercy. Mercy is our resident libertarian. So I wanted to get her. What's your feelings about all of this? You've got the floor.
I hate Donald Trump so much, and I always have. And I'm not alone either. There are those of us in the party that were truly deeply hurt and offended at the leadership that invited him to their convention and tried to give him a lifetime membership. And we fully know and have proven now that they were GOP operatives to come in and do that, because that's what they do. Everything he does is against libertarian principles. We're anti-war. And it does depend on the flavor of libertarian you speak to. I've found out in my travels that Nebraskan libertarians are just our own. We are libertarians. We are special, I guess. And that again is because of our state governance type and how we do things here. It's very libertarian in nature. I mean, our state is mostly independent anyway, and I'm very close to actually changing back for real, just for a break from party politics. So with what he's doing and everything that's going on, I need to mention that I'm only 34. So
you're a baby.
Yeah, I'm a baby. Yeah, my whole life has been nothing but bombing the Middle East, right? I still have friends from high school because I tried to enlist in high school, but I have asthma, and the Air Force didn't want me. Wah wah. So, but all my friends got enlisted, and they're still enlisted. And so seeing what happened then, happening now again, and we're not buying the weapons of mass destruction argument. And just, it feels like every 20 minutes, about on average, there's new breaking news coming in about this situation. And it's just very exhausting. I hate Donald Trump. I'm glad our new leadership took away his lifetime membership and are denouncing him out loud, and certain factions are remaining who they are because they're going to get what they deserve, right? And it's just, I appreciate Trump's comment today and dropping the F-bomb. It's probably the realest thing he's ever said, but I just, as I was then, I am now. Who the hell has blackmail on him that's controlling his strings to make him do and say and help progress what they're doing? Will we ever know? I don't know, especially from a historical standpoint. I liked that discussion and how the ranking of the presidents are, and I agree with Rick. We really don't know how bad this is going to be. We can't really put Trump's presidency into historical perspective yet. But I do believe that his first term is already being mirrored. They just picked up right where they left off. They related it again. We are hearing reports now of sterilization practices happening in ICE detainment centers for females again. That already happened last time. It's happening again. We knew it would. I did see news that they are going to move ICE agents into counterterrorism. Just saw that. So yeah, this sucks. I hate it. I would like to know who's actually in charge here. And fuck Donald Trump. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
I share your beliefs. You know what? I've just decided I must be a libertarian. No, I can't be a libertarian because the libertarians invited Donald Trump to be their lifelong member. So I guess, Mercy, that I am still an independent.
Well, and we did take away his lifetime membership recently. Our new national chair, Stephen Nicola, he's doing a really good job at rolling back everything the last libertarian regime did. That's why I'm still holding on to hope, because like my state party, solid. Arizona state party, haven't been in a while. But I recommend being an independent right now. Don't buy into the party politics.
I haven't in years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are consistent.
Dr. Francine.
Yeah, you are consistent. All right, we are into closing comment and pearls of wisdom, and we have yet to hear from Elle and David Jacobson. So, Elle, why don't you give us what you've been thinking about this morning, or any closing thoughts and pearls of wisdom? Elle? Elle's not home. She ran away. Okay, David Jacobson, closing thoughts, pearls of wisdom. David Jacobson, anybody home? Knock, knock. Anybody home?
Yes, you just have to give us a minute if we're not talking all the time. Yeah, this fire hose, remember the big, awful, horrible cut aid bill. No one's talking about it anymore. Notice the effect that this other thing or several other things are becoming so much more important that the civil war that he's about to start, the real conditions of it are starting with the cruelty upon Americans.
Yeah.
Sterilizing women in ICE detainment is one that I had not known. And that just drives me insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I never imagined, even 6 months ago that any of this was possible. And we're seeing it.
We have 4 tech CEOs that are lieutenant commanders.
Yeah, I brought that.
How is that not 1930s replaying itself, guys?
In cyber,
I mean,
what? In cybersecurity, or what were their positions?
Well, they're all in part of this Doge effort to be. Look, for years we were talking about,
To modernize the government.
Surveillance capitalism. No, you're falling for the wrong thing. The modernize, that's the veneer. It's the same thing we bitched about the surveillance state in China. We just had the surveillance capitalism marry itself with our military.
Yeah.
And Doge stole all the records. So everything you feared about China being worse already happened here.
Yeah. And they did it in like 6 weeks. It's amazing.
So some
Okay,
stuff's getting pushed out of the bill. I put the link in the chat because it didn't pass the Byrd Act.
What about
Yeah, this is the stuff that the libertarians should be shouting, and I'm sure they are, should be yelling and screaming and jumping up and down.
We are. We're going crazy over here. Stop prayers.
Thank you. All right, Marshall, closing comment, pearls of wisdom. Marshall? Nobody wants to do closing comments today.
I'm here. Picked up a new book called Persia and Rome in light of the issues in the Middle East and our founding fathers' contemporary antiquarian training. If it was Madison or Hamilton, they were classically schooled in Greece and Rome. If it was someone like Washington absorbed an understanding of the Roman Republic out of Shakespeare's plays as one of them. Thomas Ricks is a really good book that chronicles
I remember that.
Yeah, it's called First Principles. And so, in light of those two things, it seemed like it would be an interesting book to read. So, that's my new book.
I like it. Yeah, I remember listening to Thomas Ricks a couple of times. He's an interesting guy, very knowledgeable. Okay, so we are at Stephen. Closing comments, pearls of wisdom. Pass. Passing to Dr. Francine. Closing comment, pearls of wisdom.
Are you kidding?
Make something up. You're creative.
No, but I've talked a lot this morning, and I'm really depressed.
Uh-oh. All right, we have to cheer Dr. Francine up. Scotty, can you cheer Dr. Francine up?
No.
Sorry, Dr. Francine.
No, I will say this. If there's any bright spot, at least in the mayoral thing, is what I had brought up before,
Yeah.
was the cross endorsement of Brad Lander and Zoran in terms of people seeing the optics of a Muslim and a Jew cross endorsing each other as kind of a sign that, hey, maybe groups can come together. Maybe the other group is not so bad, you know, whichever side you're on. Like, there are really wonderful people that are trying to have a bolder, brighter vision for this country and for this city. And so maybe that's a glimmer of hope, because the discourse has devolved into this campism and you have to pick one side or whatever. And I think both of these candidates are showing that that is not the case. And so who knows, maybe there is hope out there. I have a feeling that because of how Brad Lander may end up being on a lot of people's ballots, both Zoran's people's ballots, but also, you know, and his own ballot, and also anybody but Cuomo ballot, that it could end up being Brad Lander who rises to the top here, and he's certainly competent enough to do this. But I would love to see whoever gets mayor, so let's say if it's one of those guys, for their lieutenant governor to be, lieutenant mayor to be the other one, in a sign of kind of unity. And I think that could help both the Democratic Party, but also help the communities that are impacted by everything that's going on. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Scotty. There'll be more to report over the next couple of days. Okay, I'm looking at my list here. Oh my goodness, we are down to Andrea and Rick. Let's go to Rick, and then Andrea can mop up caboose. Rick, you are up.
Well, I've seen yesterday. I saw a video of a little, like, 5-foot Latina woman at a car wash, standing up to about 8 armed ICE agents, screaming at them to get out of the car wash. And they eventually backed off. It was really kind of a David and Goliath thing, because they were really intimidating. And she just would not back down. And the guy that owned the car wash, you know, had said, hey, you know, you can't just come into my business. It's dangerous, you know, and you just can't stop my business or ask my workers. It was a pretty impressive display of courage. And the other one is, remember I Am Spartacus?
Sounds familiar.
Well, the movie where
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I am Spartacus, and then everybody starts setting up saying, I am Spartacus, I am Spartacus, in order to hide Spartacus. Mm-hmm. Well, they, apparently, somebody did this to ICE. They said, we're ICE, and people started showing up to go, no, we're ICE. We're ICE. No, we're ICE. And they started asking the ICE agents to prove that they were citizens. And it was pretty funny. I don't know if it was effective. It was a very short video, but it was pretty funny.
I like it.
I don't know. You got to find some humor in something, because they're really getting nasty. And one of the cops that I talked to here in our neighborhood told me that they are hiring corrections workers. And he said, I don't like this because they're hiring corrections workers from some of these facilities that were closed down for abuse. And that's where they're finding them. I don't really think that they are hiring Proud Boys. I've seen no evidence of that. I've heard rumors of it. But he said that they are hiring and recruiting from corrections facilities. And that's not a good thing. And then, of course, there's GEO, which is the, I forget, Global something, but it's a private company from Boca Raton, Florida, and they basically buy and run private prisons, not just in the United States, but all over the world. And they get paid good taxpayer money to do it. And they have a profit motive to keep people in prison, which is not to rehabilitate people, not to let people, they from keeping people in prison.